Brendan Hunt plays Coach Beard on the Emmy Award-winning comedy series Ted Lasso. I'm Matt Noble at Gold Derby, and I wanted to start off by asking you, Brendan, what do you believe about Ted Lasso?
I believe it's a great job to have. You know, probably the best job I'll ever have. I believe it. You know, it means what it says and what it does, but that I believe people sometimes forget that our main job is just to be a comedy. And I'm glad people have found all these other properties for it. And that's very gratifying. But in the end, our main job is just to get yucks. So we just got to make sure we're always doing that.
And as someone who is sort of in the writer's room as well as acting, like, how do you, when there's so much stuff going on in this world and big issues and themes being dealt with as well, how do you make sure you like keep the comedy as the constant?
We just focus on the characters, you know, and what makes them fun to write, what makes them interesting, what interactions or experiences we can put them through that will create sparks. I don't know. But yeah, if we just focus on what is already kind of on the page and we draw from that source, as opposed to trying to force anything external in there that's not already organic to what we're doing, then we should be all right. You know, keep it with what's here and not try to do, you know, that.
Now, you talked about characters, and there was an episode in the second season, Beard After Dark, where we really got to hone in on your character. What was it like having an episode revolve around your character, who's usually a supporting player on the show?
Exhausting, I guess, would be the first thing. So much running through London. I'm too old for the running. Come on, Matt. What are we doing here? But also very gratifying and super fun. You know, Beard's whole thing is to be, is just to be there, you know, for Ted or for else who might need his particular kind of counsel. So to just have the one episode where it's like, well, but then who counsels the counselor? Sort of, you know, like he left to his own devices. What happens to him? It was super fun, and it was kind of a culmination of something that like we talk about in the writer's room so much. Like, what else does Beard get up to? And we've had so many episodes where we almost included a, you know, Beard on his own thread that finally we were able to get that out of our system in glorious fashion.
A lot goes on in that episode for Beard, Brendan. Like, I was wondering after watching it, is this a typical night for Coach Beard in London or an atypical night?
Somewhere in between, but it's not wildly atypical, I think, you know, because I think he's like, you know, pardon for the super hip reference, but David Carradine's character in Kung Fu, he just roams, man. He just roams and goes with the flow and becomes water. And if you just go where life takes you, then it'll eventually get you back to where you need to be too. I don't know, I'm riffing here, but it's something like that.
Do you think this sort of like bizarreness finds him, or he finds it?
He does not close his doors to it, or close himself off from it. If that's the way things go, that's the way things go. I think he's seen some things in his day, and so there's not much that shocks him. And like, once you've seen one bizarre thing, the next time you see that bizarre thing, it's no longer bizarre. So he has a pretty high threshold for being shocked.
Yeah. And for you, what was maybe a moment in that episode that was particularly wild to film?
I guess the jump off the six-story building, which I offered to do, and I was laughed at because of some kind of insurance issue. But you know, we've been filming a lot that day, and all the running. And then it was like, okay, now we're doing the stunt, and then the stunt man dressed as me jumps into that dumpster from how many feet up. What is 6 stories? 60 feet? I don't know what it is in meters. But he went into the garbage can, or the skip, if you will, at such an angle that we weren't entirely sure that he hadn't hit the side of the dumpster. And there was like a very it was a full 10 seconds until he actually raised his hand out and everything, and he was totally fine. He was just taking a breath or whatever. But those of us watching on monitors were like, where is he? And no, he's totally fine. But yeah, I've never been around a proper comic book movie stunt like that, and it was intense.
He probably thought I'll stand a bit longer, that'll freak him out.
Yeah.
Did that, when you saw that, did it make you relieved that you hadn't done the jump, or were you like, oh, I would have come in at a different angle?
No, it certainly proved the point that it was not a situation that my untrained self, regardless of the sturdiness of the relevant equipment, should be nowhere near that stunt. It was, I fully accepted it after that.
Okay. Do you think that Coach Beard is more interesting the more we know about him, or the less we know about him?
Oh, definitely less. Which is why, if we do that episode, all right, you do the one, and we didn't really learn much about him, really. We learned his mom's name, I think. And other than that, that he's down on himself, I guess, and that he is, despite his insanity, a romantic at heart. But yeah, it's just putting him through something more than getting his resume or his biography per se. So hopefully we hit the right balance there, because you're spot on. Yeah, he's the kind of character where if we tell too much, then yeah, he's almost useless.
Do you know how him and Ted Lasso became good friends, and sort of the foundation of that relationship that's so important in the show?
Well, nothing's official until it's it becomes canon. If it's uttered by a character on screen. So we've talked about a few options. We think they met in school, but we don't know if that school was college or kindergarten. And we think that they were apart for a long period, which is where Beard discovered some of the crazier sides, and then have reunited. And we think that Ted has probably sort of saved Beard in some way. So those are the building blocks of it. The specifics of it, we haven't quite sussed out, and I don't know if we ever will.
Yeah, that may or may not ever become canon, that sort of story.
Exactly.
Do you think that if I was in the world of Ted Lasso and Coach Beard was explaining the story about how they met and Ted was explaining the story of how they met, do you think they would have different accounts of what happened?
Yes, but they'd be equally trustworthy for totally different reasons. Yeah, I think they would just remember different aspects of the same thing. Like Beard will be like, oh, I was at the end of a bender, and Ted would be like, I saw him early in the morning, and then they'll just start from different places in the same reflection, as it were.
Yeah. And how long did it take you to get those dance moves down for Beard in the club?
Well, it's not really choreographed. I was just kind of going. But my legs were shot from, again, all the old man running. Right. So I was not in top form dancing wise. A lot of arm dancing going on in those things. But yeah, there was nothing to get down particularly. Just turn the camera on and I'm gonna move like a jerk and light it well, and it should come out okay.
What about the hula hoop? How did you get that? Is that something you could already do? You're an expert at that?
I mean, expert's a big term, but I know my way around a hula hoop. Yes, I learned a few years ago for a project, and it never goes away. And yeah, when the writers room would be like, what else can we do with Beard? It kind of always led to okay, and whichever crazy idea we came up with, it always ended with, and then he hula hoops. So that part we've kind of always wanted to do. And yeah, I like hula hooping. It's very good for you, very good for the core. And once you have good core, then you don't have back trouble. Hula hooping, everybody get in it.
I'm very bad.
I can teach you in 5 minutes, man.
Whoa.
5 minutes.
Okay.
That is my promise.
If we ever meet, I'll have to make sure I've got a hula hoop on me.
Yeah, a regulation hula hoop, not like a toy one, like a real one, But then I got you.
I can do it on the arm. I can do it on my ankle. I can't do it on the belly.
Those are the starting points.
Yeah.
Those are the gateway drugs. Yeah, you're halfway there.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, I'm looking forward to that one day. One day, somewhere, somehow, you'll teach me. In that episode also, Beard says he listens more than he talks. It's how we knew so much about Oxford. As a writer and an actor on the show, how important is that skill of listening?
Oh, immensely. I think listening is the most important. I think listening is the most important part of communicating, really. And me and Jason and Joe Kelly and some of the other writers as well, we all come from an improv background, and improv is not so much the art of learning to say something funny. It's the art of listening and then building on what you have listened to and like what you shared. So it was cool to make that canon. We all need to be better listeners. The better listener you are, the better conversations you'll be, and therefore the better you communicate.
Even Jason says that about his dad, doesn't he? Oh, well, Ted says that about his dad, that he was a great chatterbox, could have been a better listener box, or whatever the line is. What did you have a moment, I guess we can go either season, that was the funniest moment for you, Brendan?
Well, I don't know about filming it, but watching it, yes, there's a clear one for me, because I wasn't on that set that day. It was a day when we were having, it was late in the season, so we had multiple units out doing multiple things. But then later watching the edit, Sam Richardson's explosion when he finds out that Sam Obisanya is not going to be joining him at Casablanca, I just died. Like, it was in the script, Sam goes crazy, and Edwin goes crazy, and but then to see Sam, who we've known for a long time, Sam's great, and but to see the degree to which he went for it, pulling down the mannequin, pooping in its mouth. I mean, come on, hilarious. And yeah, I absolutely died watching that.
Can you think of a moment, and it can either be in the writer's room or as a performer, where through listening to something and sort of observing a choice someone else has made, it's helped you build on it?
Gosh, it's hard to narrow it down to one in a way, because that is just our whole raison d'etre. It's just constant. But there's some that are happening this season that come from things that got said in season 2 and season 1. It's all we do is try to listen and build on what we've already had there. So yeah, that's an information overload that makes me short circuit and unable to really answer.
Yeah. Can you think of maybe a scene as you were pulling it together, that it just, you felt that real energy in the writer's room, or in the cast if you're building on it? I don't really mind which direction you take it in, and you're just all the ideas are flowing so quickly, and we're just there's a real energy here.
Okay, let me think. To a degree, the locker room scene after we lose to Manchester City in episode 8 of season 2, it's sort of hard to describe, but we always knew that was going to be a loss, and then we always knew that that Jamie's dad would come in, and it would be, humiliating for him in some way, and that Jamie would then fight back. But that whole process of putting that together was sort of step and step and step and step, and then someone, I can't even remember saying who's like that, and then Roy hugs him, ooh, wow, and that ends up being, it's one of the most powerful moments I think we've ever had on the show, and it's earned because of everything that's happened before that. It's not just out of nowhere, I hope, anyway. But yeah, that would be one. where like it didn't all come out as like, hey, how do we find a way for Roy to hug Jamie? It happened more organically. It happened like, Jamie's going to go through this thing, and then you just kind of reach for the capper, and that was the obvious one.
We're an awards website at Gold Derby, and we love our Emmy Awards, and you guys did very well at the Emmy Awards last year. You won a whole bunch, and you are now an Emmy winner, Brendan, for Best Comedy Series. You won the Comedy Series Award as one of the executive producers on the show. You also nominated for acting, playing Coach Beard. But what was it like to sort of, talking about canons, enter the canon of Best Comedy Series winners at the Emmys? The past 15 years, you are the 7th show, if I've done the maths right, to have won that award.
I mean, it's cool. It's not something that you really aim for particularly. You just kind of go about your business, and hope people like the show. I mean, we didn't even know if people were going to watch the show, much less, try to, throw medals at it. So yeah, I mean, you just try not to put too much stock in it, really, because then you get into the storied traps of smelling your own dookie and thinking it smells like roses. So it's very cool. We're very grateful, and hopefully, it won't have my 1-year-old become a horrible egotist because there's some trophy sitting there. But yeah, it was definitely a fun day at the office.
Yeah, and like
yeah. Sorry, I have to ask, man. I think our time is up.
Yeah.
Right. Because I have another one. I have them back to back.
Yeah.
Today.
No. That's all. That's okay, Brendan. We are done. Last question for you. Just quickly tell me.
Yes, sir.
I'm talking to some of the other casts today. What would?
Oh wait, no, our time is not up because I was late. All right, we got a couple more minutes here. Yeah, my next one starts at 1. I'm good.
Whoa. Okay.
Oh, it's 12:59. All right, hit me anyway.
Oh my goodness, Brendan. The pressure's on. I'm talking to some of the other people from the cast today. What do you think the best question would be to ask each of them?
Each member of the cast. I would. I would ask them who is their. I'd ask them to describe their favorite crew member, and what's so great about them. Because like the crew is as much a family as the cast now. Most of the crew has been with us since the very first episode, and we do love each other. And yeah, they're a funny bunch too. So there might be some stuff there.
Who's your favorite crew member?
Off the top of my head, I think the gal who does my makeup, whose name is Nikki Springall, who is, she's a Cockney lass of a certain age, and she's got a mouth like a sailor, but is as graceful as a queen, and it's a real hoot starting my day every day with sitting in her chair for half an hour. It really sets the course correctly for what everything that comes next.
There you go, Brendan. You got another interview to get to. Thanks so much for spending some time with us here today. All the best of luck for the upcoming Emmy Awards for the 2nd season of Ted Lasso. And people watching this interview can go to goldderby.com to watch other interviews and make your own award predictions. Brendan, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Matt. Cheers.